They called it a shelter, but for those who entered, it felt more like a prison of forgotten souls. In the heart of America, beneath the glowing billboards and shining skyscrapers, there were places hidden from the public eye. Places where the homeless were sent, not to be cared for, but to be silenced. The government called them transitional camps. Officials called them temporary relief centers. But the people who lived there whispered another name, the shadows. Here, hope was not given. It was stolen. Before we go deeper into this story, remember, sometimes the truth is more powerful than fiction. If you believe in stories that inspire change, and voices that refuse to stay silent, then take a moment, subscribe. Because every story we share here is a light in the darkness, and maybe, just maybe, it's the light someone desperately needs. The camp was surrounded by chain-link fences topped with barbed wire. Inside, rows of old shipping containers had been converted into living units. The walls smelled of rust and mold. There was no heating, no privacy, no dignity. The people inside were not criminals. They were veterans who had fought for freedom but lost their homes. Mothers who escaped abuse but had nowhere to go. Children whose only fault was being born into poverty. Among them was Daniel Carter, a 42-year-old former construction worker with dark brown skin, a beard rough with exhaustion, and eyes that once dreamed of building skyscrapers but now stared at broken walls. Daniel wasn't weak. He wasn't lazy. Life had simply pushed him off the edge. After an accident at work left him unable to stand for long hours, he lost his job, then his apartment. One bad month became a bad year. And the streets swallowed him whole. Now, the camp swallowed him deeper. Every night, the guards walked through the camp, flashlights cutting through the cold. They weren't here to protect. They were here to control. Food was limited. Medical help was nearly non-existent. People whispered that once you entered, you were forgotten. Daniel tried to keep his hope alive. He helped others in small ways, sharing what little bread he had, fixing broken locks on the containers. In his heart, he believed, if I can help someone survive one more night, maybe I'll survive too. But hope was dangerous here. The camp wasn't designed to heal. It was designed to break point. One evening, Daniel met Maria Lopez, a 29-year-old mother with long black hair, olive skin, and a little boy named Gabriel, just 7 years old. Maria had escaped an abusive home, thinking the camp would be safe. But Gabriel grew weaker every day. The food had no nutrition, the water made him sick. Daniel watched as Maria begged the guards for help, only to be laughed at. That night, Daniel made a choice. He would not let Gabriel die here. He whispered to Maria. If we stay, we disappear. But if we fight, maybe the world will see us. The next morning, Daniel began to plan something unthinkable, an escape. Not just for himself, but for Maria and her son. But as he whispered his plan to a small group of desperate souls, a shadow moved outside the container. A guard had been listening. And in that moment, Daniel realized. Hope wasn't the only dangerous thing in the camp. Secrets were too. The guard's footsteps echoed outside. Daniel froze, his heart pounding. If the guard reported them, they would be punished. Punishment in the shadows meant disappearing forever. But strangely, the guard didn't enter. Instead, he slipped away into the darkness. Daniel knew this meant only one thing. The camp authorities already knew. From that day, life inside became harder. Food rations were cut for Daniel's group. Gabriel's health worsened. Maria cried at night, whispering prayers. Daniel gathered strength from those around him. There was Eleanor, an elderly woman with gray hair and deep wrinkles, who once taught history at a high school. There was Marcus, a young black veteran with a limp, carrying the scars of war. Each of them had lost something, but none had lost the will to live. Together, they formed a secret pact. They would escape. They would show the world the truth. One stormy night, lightning tore across the sky. The guards huddled inside their cabin, leaving the yard unprotected for a few minutes. Daniel and his group moved quickly. Eleanor carried a small notebook filled with stories from the camp, proof of what was happening. Marcus helped lift Gabriel onto Daniel's back. They reached the fence. The rain masked their movements. Daniel's hands bled as he pulled the barbed wire apart. Freedom was just inches away. But then, a siren wailed. The floodlights blazed. Guards stormed out with rifles in hand. Daniel shouted, "Run! Don't stop!" Maria clutched Gabriel, tears streaming down her face. Marcus pushed Eleanor forward. The group stumbled into the mud, running toward the trees beyond the fence. Bullets ripped through the night. Daniel turned back, shielding Gabriel with his body. Pain seared his shoulder, but he didn't stop. If we die, let it be running. Not rotting. Hours later, bruised, bleeding, and soaked, the survivors found themselves in the outskirts of a small town. An old farmer discovered them and listened to their story. For the first time in years, someone believed them. Within weeks, Eleanor's notebook was in the hands of journalists. Maria's trembling voice was on live television. Marcus stood in front of cameras, showing his scars. And Daniel, bandaged and weak, looked at Gabriel smiling for the first time in months. He whispered, "We made it, kid. We made it." This story isn't about camps. It's about what happens when society forgets its people. It's about how even in the darkest places, courage can light a path. Daniel, Maria, Eleanor, Marcus, and little Gabriel taught us that survival is not just about living, it's about refusing to surrender your dignity. And if they could find hope inside the shadows, then maybe we can find strength in our own struggles too. The world tried to erase them. Instead, they became a voice. And that voice will never be silenced again. If this story moved you, let it not end here. Backhand index pointing right like this video. Comment with your thoughts. And most importantly, subscribe. Because every time you do, you stand with those who refuse to be forgotten.